Boxing King Media, powered by BYD. It is episode 14 of the Brutally Honest podcast. It's been a good few weeks, Dom. I think it's probably been over a month. We've both been on our breaks. See that you're looking well and tanned. You've been away as well?
Been away, been in the Canary Islands, had a bit of a holiday with the family. I've got a couple of clients out there, Gran Canaria, been to Dubai. Yeah, so it's been a steady 4 weeks, just doing diets and exercise and, school terms, got the kids off, so it's taking all the time up.
You do anything interesting whilst you're away?
No, just a lot of sightseeing, visiting towns and doing walks and stuff. There's a few. We used to have training camps in Gran Canaria years ago, a place called Amphidelmar. We did all this training there, big complex. It was a fantastic place for training, so we've got a couple of apartments on there, so we stay there. But yeah, just a bit of a wind down really, and back into the mix.
Just curious, when you was a kid, what did your dad used to do in the summer holidays? What's your memories of that?
He stayed here. He sent us. We had a caravan at a place in Norfolk called Cromer, and it was famous for crabs, and that's where the Walshes come from. Cromer, the Walsh brothers, the fighters, and we used to go down there. My nan and granddad had a caravan. It slept about 5. And they had a car, we never had a car. So we used to go down there with my grandparents, and then the rest of the family, the aunties and the uncles are booking out. But if we were lucky, we might get to go down in the summer holidays. And my dad used to get somebody to drive us down there, leave us there for a week with my mum, and then he'd be up here on himself. He'd never go on holiday. I think one time he came with it were a nightmare. You could tell he didn't want to be there because he was too busy thinking about what he'd be doing. But
thinking about boxing.
About boxing, never left the gym. You couldn't leave the gym really. You couldn't leave the gym because of that much happening. Even in the summer break, there was that much happening. He was committed to that, because that's the time when all the kids are off school. So it'd be a bit of a silly time to close it down. And it's still the same now. It's still open now. It's still busy in the school holidays. Still classes are still full. So yeah, it was. He never came on holiday with us, and I'm glad he didn't really, because it'd have been a bit of a nightmare. He just won't sit still. But they were happy times, when we used to go away. Most people from this area, like Sheffield, you go to Cleethorpes or Blackpool or Skegness. Well, Cromer's about 150 miles away, so you get people coming from Cambridgeshire, London, and different type of people. So it were miles away, but some interesting places to visit, and we never got bored of it. We went there year after year after year. And I think the only year when I stopped going, I was about 18, and that was the first time I ever went abroad. And that was it. The caravan days were over.
It's fascinating that, you say now your dad took you away, but he dropped you guys off, came back here.
Well, actually, no, he didn't. He got somebody to drop us off. He got one of his pals who had transport. My dad didn't have a car. My dad never had a car when we were younger. We had vans and stuff, like work vans. But only when he got older that he had a car.
It shows you the dedication he had, and that's why he was the best of what he was doing. It shows you them kind of sacrifices. People probably don't see it.
No.
Some holidays he's basically just thinking about boxing whilst you guys are holidaying in the caravan.
Always in the gym.
Yeah, and away from that, in fact, I tell you what, I've got to mention our sponsors BYD, because I said it in the last podcast. Boxing gloves. I interviewed Alexander Usyk about a month ago now, and I got him to sign me a pair of boxing gloves, which I said we was going to give away in the next episode. But the next episode, it's going to be in episode 15 that we're going to do the
giveaway.
The giveaway, and explain how people can have it. But if you want to get ahead of the game, there's going to be an Instagram account pinned to the comments. If you jump on there and follow it, it's an account from our sponsors BYD. The information will be on there. A glove signed by Usyk right now, in the right pair of hands, is worth a lot of money, because he doesn't sign a lot of stuff. And he's not an easy person to get hold of. So that glove, it's been signed on video as well. So it's
authentic.
It'll be framed up in a glass. And like I said, we'll mention it in our next episode how you can get that. And then I noticed whilst we've been away, I was looking at your Instagram the other day. A former prize fighter champion, one of your new diet clients. What's all that about?
Robert Lloyd Taylor. I remember watching him win that prize fighter. And then I think before that, he boxed one of our former fighters, James Aaron, beat him, because he was a bit of a lad coming through at the time, Robert Lloyd Taylor. And he messaged me, and he wants to get in shape. He's running a gym. I think he's even having an unlicensed fight. I think somebody told me, but yeah, we got a stone, just above a stone off him. Very easy to work with, and he said to me afterwards, I could have done with somebody like you when I was boxing to get the weight down. So yeah, he made a great improvement. He got in shape. He's gone on holiday at the minute. He's gone somewhere abroad with his family, and yeah, he looks in good shape. Looks well.
And I urge anyone to have a look at the shape you got him into, because if you look at his before and after pictures, it literally, when you describe dad bod,
he got it.
It literally is dad bod, isn't it?
Skinny arms, skinny chest, and a little tubby belly.
Yep.
And it's all gone back flat, and he looks in better shape now. He's probably a bit heavier than when he boxed, because they never make weight right, do they? If you're good boxers never really made weight properly, just relied on their ability. It's only now in recent years, 10, 15 years, where people are, because we've got this day before weigh-in, where people have started to manipulate the weight better. But back in the day, it was nothing to do. I always remember a fighter years back called Jeff McCreesh, a little gingerhead kid, spotty face, and he was a vicious little swine. He was about welterweight champion, and he didn't have a muscle on his body. And I always remember he went over to Italy and boxed in a European title fight, and he failed the drug test. And you could tell, this we're talking 15 years ago, you could tell he'd never took a drug in his life. And I think he said, look at me, like I ain't got a muscle on my body. And it was found out that the lab who processed his thing, he spiked the sample so they could get the decision reversed. So yeah, it wasn't a big thing back in the day being about looking in shape when you made weight. It was just a case of making weight and then relying on your boxing ability to get you through the fight, which is really what it's about.
And it's fascinating how the world's changed. But what I will say is, last time we spoke about you changing, getting people in summer shape. But Robert's example is, if you've got a dad bod, and I'm pretty sure most of our listeners, don't take any offence. There'll be loads out there who've got dad bods. If you want to get rid of dad bod, hit up Dominic Ingle. I'll put up a picture of Robert as well, so they can see the transformation you've done with him and your email address, and obviously you can guide him in the right direction. And also, before we talk about boxing, we're on 976,000 subscribers, Dom. We're 24,000 away from 1 million subscribers.
Fantastic. You're going to get the disc then?
The gold plaque.
Yeah. When you get it, you need to come to this gym then.
Oh, yes.
Because I'm sure the numbers have gone up by 500,000 since you've been doing interviews with me.
100%. We're going to bring it here, do a bit of a presentation, and also we want to do a giveaway. We're going to give something amazing away when we hit 1 million subscribers. I'm not sure what, but it'll be something unique and amazing, probably worth a lot of money, some sort of boxing memorabilia, but we'll think of that when
or even a sparring session, who knows?
A sparring session with Dominic Ingle.
Oh, not too sure.
And a free diet plan maybe?
Oh yeah, that could be a thing.
I tell you what, we'll do that.
Yeah.
If you're up for that, would you do it?
Well, yeah, if we do it for a free diet plan, and then you give me the plaque, and because I'm not charging.
My kids might not be too pleased with that. So
nah, yeah, we might do a free diet plan. That'd be an idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That. Right, so let's talk about the boxing. In fact, before you talk about the boxing, we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, because whilst we've been away, I think the last thing we did, we was talking about the riots in Leeds. And since then, we've had people smashed up immigrant hotels, people protesting all across the UK. And I've seen the different viewpoints. People are, I think the main agenda has been people protesting against unvetted immigration. People that obviously just coming across the boats and nobody knows who they are, what their backgrounds are. But then obviously they've been hijacked by people who are then targeting certain communities and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just curious, if Brendan Ingle was about, what would you? Because obviously technically your dad was an immigrant to this country, weren't he? And what would he kind of say about all that's gone on?
Yeah, I mean, in them days they came over to work, didn't they? They came over to work, so you got all the paddies coming over, and they made all the ground workers and all the donkey work and did all the jobs that nobody wanted to do. And I suppose that's what the immigrants are doing now. You see them, a lot of them, running around on electric scooters and bikes, delivering Uber Eats and fast food, and it just shows you that how the world's changed. That people can't even be bothered to walk out to the shop to get food, and they're creating, laziness is creating jobs for people. But yeah, it's you think about the people we've had come over the years. I can remember about 1978, 79 in the house next door there, when it was all kicking off in Chile. We had a lot of Chilean refugees. They were fine. There wasn't any trouble. I think what it is in this day and age is that I think the big gripe with people is that there's too many freeloaders, and that goes for everybody. It's like there's a certain amount of people in Britain, a lot of people in Britain working, doing everything, paying their taxes, you know, trying to get ahead in life. And, you know, these might not even be British nationals, people just in jobs working. And I think that, you know, there's loads of people probably on benefits who shouldn't be on benefits. There's loads of people fiddling the system. And I can imagine, you know, for people trying to get in from, it is a bit guiling at the end of the day. And I think if people just got their head down, did the work, kept their nose out of everybody else's business, did the graft, you know, the world would be a better place. But at the end, because what everybody wants now, they want loads of money with no work. They don't want to do any work, but they want loads of money. They want to live a life of leisure. Well, you don't live a life of leisure. You have to do graft to get your rewards, don't you? You have to get in front. So, you know, it's a bit silly kicking off, because they're kicking off with the wrong people. The thing what needs to change is the governments. And they need to start, you know, getting onto the politicians. That's what they need to start doing. They're the ones who make the changes. So fighting amongst themselves is like, you know, is clouding it all, isn't it, really? Because they're fighting with the wrong people.
I thought you'd be a great person to ask, because you are the son of an immigrant.
Yeah,
Because you know, when people use that term immigrant, I think people automatically assume African or somebody who's come from, like, you know, like you said, you know, South America, whatever. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't expect a white person to be an immigrant.
Well, when we had obviously the British Commonwealth, you had people coming over from India, Pakistan, Yemen. People, you know, like Barry Kigalad's granddad, or you know, worked in the steelworks. Lots of Yemenis working in the steelworks. You go to Sheffield Western Park Museum, it shows you all the history. You know, all the people were brought over for the industry, grafting.
They fought in the war as well.
Fought in the war.
Yeah.
And you know, same with the Pakistanis, same with the Indians. They had regiments made of them. You know, that's what they did. But like I said, back different times then, and they were prepared to put their graft in and work and get the opportunity to make their lives better. But like I say, you know, modern day times is you've got all this Instagram, YouTube, and you know, people don't want to do work, do they? They want to be sitting around making a fortune, entertaining people on videos. I mean, you're doing it, but it's informative. But when you look at some of the stuff, what people are doing, it's like, you know what I mean? There's some of the stuff they do when people sit there watching it. It's absolutely garbage, and it's mind-blowing. It's just conditioning people to sit on the settees and do nothing. It's actually dumbing people down. So, and that's what it's doing. It's creating that kind of generation. Never have you seen a time where you see so many unhealthy kids, overweight parents. You know, it's like when I was a kid, the overweight kid or the overweight parent was like 1 in 100. Now it's probably 60 in 100. That's where it is, because people just aren't as active. A day of entertainment is going down Meadowhall and shopping and spending money they ain't got. That's where it is.
Eating unhealthy food. Right, let's jump onto the boxing. We'll start off with, you're on a bit of a roll, Dom. Yeah, we did the 5v5 predictions, and you smashed, I think, 4 out of 5 of them out. You wasn't far off with the last one. And then I asked you about Joe Joyce and Derek Chisora, and I'm pretty sure I couldn't find anyone that actually picked Derek Chisora to win, and you did. You said he's going to do it.
Yeah, but the thing
and he said, don't be shocked.
Yeah, but you've got to remember, this is what people don't, you know, if you don't, Derek Chisora is just a seasoned fighter. And even when he's been getting his backside kicked, he's been getting his backside kicked or his arse kicked by people at a very, very high level. I mean, Tyson Fury made mincemeat out of him. But, you know, don't get me wrong, Joe Joyce is not a bad fighter, but he's never really changed from turning pro, well, from being amateur to turning pro to all the way through his pro career. There's not been many adjustments. I think we've said in a few interviews that you know, having a solid chin like he did, there's people in this game who've got a solid chin. Cole Froch, rock hard. Golovkin, rock hard chins. Hit them with a concrete block, you're not turning them over. And they never show, even though Cole Froch went down against Groves, he got up and never been stopped. But you look at Joyce, and he got chipped away at. He was taking the shots, and then all of a sudden his resistance went. And you know, there was not many adjustments made by Joyce, whether it's head movement or defence. And eventually, you know, you keep chipping away long enough and something's going to give, and it was obviously his chin. So it's just that Chisora had operated at a much higher level for a longer period of time than Joyce had. And it was a case of weighing it up and thinking, well, as Chisora finally, started to deteriorate, and he has slowed down, he has deteriorated, but still not enough for somebody like Joyce, who was also already sliding as well, to take advantage of it. Maybe a few fights back, maybe 5 or 6 fights back, maybe. So, but that's how it is.
So how does Joe Joyce go from beating Joseph Parker and people raving about him being the only guy that could beat Anthony Joshua to getting stopped by Zhang twice and now losing to Derek Chisora, who people are saying he's finished? How does that happen?
You see, it's like anything else, isn't it? That nobody knows what the fighters are doing behind the scenes, and it's like they're not living most of them are not living an exemplary life, are they? They don't put their life on hold for 10 or 15 years and live like monks to further their careers. You only got to look at Mike Tyson, the way he was a wrecking machine, but the way he lived his life was driving a wrecking machine. So eventually you'll get away with it for so long before it catches you up. So you think how he beat Joe Parker, and then Joe Parker, got the wins and had a resurgence of his career. So obviously Parker's made the adjustment. He's made himself better. He's probably lived his life better, and his performance has been better. Whereas Joyce is probably not doing that. So that's why you get that up and down.
Next move for both of them, because I think he'd be looking at what Chisora's done. He'd be wrong to say if Joe should retire now, because a lot of people are saying he should pack it in. He's already said he's not going to pack it in.
Who's that?
Joe Joyce. What do you think he should do from this moment?
Well, he'll make a stepping stone for somebody else, won't he? Because I don't think, you think of the losses he's had now.
Zhang twice and Chisora.
Yeah, it's like it's not like he's had has he had wins in between? I think it's been 3 back-to-back losses, hasn't it?
I think it is. Yeah, you're probably right.
So once you start sliding in that direction, it's like difficult to get back up the slippery slope, especially at the age he's at. He's not young, is he?
Who would you want him to fight? What do you think would be a good fight? He beat your old fighter Cash Ali in between, by the way.
Yeah, but like I say, that's who he beat. He had the Cash Ali fight, didn't it? And even then, and I spoke to Cash a couple of weeks back. Cash could have finished on his feet with that fight, but realistically, if Joe Joyce had got anything about him, he'd have smashed Cash in about 6 rounds, and that's why probably I thought, well, if he's not stopping Cash Ali in 6 rounds, he's not beating Chisora.
Well, Joe's 38. Obviously, had a lot less fights than Derek Chisora. Chisora's like 48 fights in and a lot of rounds. How many rounds do you think Derek Chisora's done? This will blow your mind, this way. And these rounds aren't going to be easy.
How many fights has he had?
48.
Right, he's got to have done at least 400 and odd rounds.
Not far off, 334 rounds. And I dread to imagine how many of them were hard.
Yeah.
What does he do, Dom? Because he's just beat Joe Washington on points, just beat Joe Joyce.
Because he's got that mindset, and he's got that, he's like a big kid. I can remember when they were bringing him through Chisora. I can remember when he started off and, coming through, and he got the belief, He got the belief, and he's just that kind of character. He's got a solidness about him and a kind of like throw caution to the wind. So, he's done tremendously well. He's just got that mindset where it don't faze him. It's a walk in the park for him, but it's just whether he's going to be walking in the park in the sunshine when he wins or walking in the park in a thunderstorm. And when he loses, it's a thunderstorm, isn't it? It's a battle. So it's the same walk, it's just different conditions.
Just dropping some of the names he's fought in the last 14 years, going back to 2010, Danny Williams, one of your old fighters, Carl Baker, Sam Sexton, Tyson Fury, Robert Helenius, Vitaly Klitschko, David Hay, Malik Scott, and then he fought Tyson Fury again. He fought Kevin Johnson, Kubrat Pulev, which a fight a lot of people thought he should have won. Fought Dillian White, he lost the first one in a split, which people thought he should have won. Ajit Kabayel, who's now blowing everyone away, lost him on points. Carlos Takam, he stopped him, had a great fight with Dillian White again. Then he stopped David Price. He fought Usyk, gave Usyk one of his hardest fights, and Usyk still says he's the biggest puncher he's fought. Joseph Parker back-to-back twice, 2 points decision losses to him. Avenged Kubrat Pulev, then fought Fury again, and now he beat Gerald Washington. What an incredible career.
He boxed everyone. He's like a throwback fighter, and he back to the the 50s and the 60s, just fighting, every Tom, Dick and Harry who comes along, and not being out there. He's probably had very little inactivity. So that's what's got him through.
Who should he fight next? Because one of the things he said in that post-fight press conference, he said, "I was telling my legs to effing move, but they wouldn't effing move."
Yeah.
And obviously he was all over the place. Some of them ran towards the end. He was just hanging off the ropes because his legs wouldn't move. So what does that tell you about his condition?
What? That's more than anything. That can be down to his training, his diet. It could be down to a lot of things. It's like, he got hit with some big shots and he still stood up. So I don't think his legs have gone to that point. But he's having to exert himself a lot, isn't he? So I don't know who he should box, to be honest, because he's only going to want to box the big names, and they're going to be dangerous fights for him, aren't they? Who do you think he should box? Who's out there really at a loose end?
The Johnny Fisher, they've talked about Johnny Fisher.
Johnny Fisher's got no chance against him. Yeah, they could be Dubois.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All them guys obviously tied up in big fights, but it's either way, great career. Be interesting to see what he does next. A big upset as well in a couple of weeks ago in America. Jared Anderson, who people are raving about as the next big heavyweight from America. Martin Bakole. Blasting him away in 5-6 rounds.
Same again. Obviously, ambitious matchmakers, fighters getting carried away. I mean, who trained him?
Oh, Bakole.
No,
Sugar Hill.
Oh, well, there you go.
What do you mean, there you go?
Well, it's like, I think I was looking over his track record for his last couple of fights, Sugar, and I think he's had very few wins. But I don't track through fighters. But that's the thing. Like, you got a young prospect. I mean, Bakole is a big fella, innit? And he's solid. And the thing is, when they're building these fighters up, these younger fighters, they're not really battle hardened fighters, and they're great when it's going their way. But as soon as the tide turns a little bit and they find a bit of difficulty,
that guy that Billy Nelson's raved about him for years, and he's been telling us about his sparring stories. And does this kind of indicate maybe them sparring stories were true? Because the way he beat him,
he beat him easy. But then you've got to ask yourself the question: was the kid that good in the first place? That's the thing.
Anderson.
Yeah, you don't matter. Like, it's like, just because you've got a winning record, who are you beating? Or the people you're beating at what stage in their careers? Are they? There might be some big names on his resume, but are they faded big names? Has he boxed any prospects? Has he beat plenty of kids with winning, more wins than losses? There's lots of factors to factor in, and especially with Bakole, there's no pressure on him, is there? He's over 30, and any fight he has is a bonus. So, hopefully he'll get thrown into the big mix and get a good payday.
Is Bakole good enough to compete with, like, say, if he jumped in with Dubois, AJ, Fury? How do you think he mixes with them? Like, his recent form is he stopped Carlos Takam, Anderson, obviously, and he also beat the Olympian Tony Yoka, took his O as well in France.
Yeah. Listen, he can be in with those fighters, can't he? He can fight the likes of Dubois. He can fight them type of kids. He's going to be difficult against the top level. He might even give AJ a good fight, because he's just, for him, it's like survival, isn't it? He's like, he's not from England. He's trying to make a living. It's a do or die situation a little bit. He'll take his chances when they come, and that's what he did with that guy. He didn't intimidate him. He went over there, beat the guy. Very relaxed how he did it. Never looked phased. It was all against him. He wasn't the promoter's man, and he went in and ruined the tea party.
And other news: your old friend Chris Eubank Jr. just signed with the Sky Sports Ben Shalom, some sort of partnership deal, and he's got himself on the next Riyadh season card. He'll be fighting on Better Bivol undercard against a relatively unknown fighter. But I believe that's like a warm-up fight.
Warm-up fight. He's been warming up all his career.
He has said that he wants Billy Joe.
But why? But first of all, why, after all these fights, why does Chris Eubank need a warm-up fight?
Is that nearly a year out the ring?
So what?
Would you not want a warm-up? Say if Kell Brook...
But you don't have when you get to a certain level, you don't need a warm-up fight, do you? Because you're getting all the warm-up in training, you're getting all the sparring. What's better, sparring high-level sparring partners, or having a warm-up fight and knocking over some stiff who's not even known? Like, why is that going to do anything? What? It's like it's the sparring. If he wants to keep his tools sharp, he just needs to have good sparring in the gym. Because he's been out in the arena, he's not going to get nervous before going before a big crowd, is he? What does he need a warm up for? It's like you know, if you go away for 6 weeks and you don't drive, it's like coming back and saying, I'm going to go in a kid's go-kart to warm up for driving a car. You're just going to jump back in the car and drive it. It's the same. Boxing is like riding a bicycle.
What if there's no big name opponents available? Because he wants
There won't be big name opponents, but A, they won't want to pay them the money. B, you won't want to take the risk. Do you know what I mean? So he'll be getting probably paid a lot of money for boxing a nobody on this show with the promise that he's going to fight somebody big on that show next time. Because that's what you're going to do. You're going to rinse as much money. Is that promise
from the organisers, or is that?
No, it'd be his negotiation, won't it? Because that's how they work, Eubanks.
That's good negotiation, then, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. That's the way to do it. Of course it is. Of course it is.
So, as a boxer, we should be kind of applauding his business tactics, and.
Well, maybe, but like as a fan, at some point he's got to fight somebody, hasn't he? So.
Billy Joe, there's been some back and forward with them. Can you see Billy coming back?
Well, how long has Billy Joe Saunders been out of the ring? He's been out of the ring. He's been out of the ring, I would imagine, over 3 years. So,
you know how good Billy is if he was able to switch you on for 6 months.
Well, let's have a look. Let's just check how old Billy is at this moment in time. How old's Billy? I think he was born in 80. Was he born in 86? Maybe. It was his birthday recently as well. So he's got to be now, Billy's got to be around about, I think he was 29 when I trained him in 2007, 8.
His last fight was the 5th of the 8th, 2021.
Yeah, so he's what is he, 34?
He's 34.
So he's 34 and he's been out the ring in 3 years. So it's a long time out, and 34 is not the best of age. And he's, from the stuff I've seen online, he's massively overweight. He won't have been training. So, and has he got an incentive? He's got plenty of money. He's not only made money out of boxing, he's got properties, he's got caravan parks. What's his incentive? He's got, look, he's never going to have
them two have got a deep hatred with each other.
Maybe they have, but is it enough to go through the process of a training camp? You always have to ask yourself the question, regardless of who it is. Why are fighters out of the ring for a year, 2 years, 3 years at a time when? It's like past 30, there's not a lot of time to be wasted. So I don't think Billy's ever going to fight again, because you don't need to. If he was skinned and he was, having to make his way through, then fair enough, but he's done tremendously well in life. So I actually think he's just winding up Chris Eubank. And, because he knows that Eubank wants that revenge. And Billy's just, tempting him with it.
What about Kell?
Kell's never going to box again.
No? Okay. Ben Whittaker, we've spoken about him before. He's fighting Liam Cameron on the Saudi card. Really good news for Liam. Amazing story. We saw Liam against Lyndon Arthur recently. If you watched that fight, some people thought it should have been a draw. Some people, it was a really close fight. But what do you make of that fight, Ben Whittaker, Liam Cameron?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, Liam's been around a long time, hasn't he? And so he's got his chance. He'll get a decent payday. And, it's not beyond Liam Cameron to cause him loads of problems, Whittaker. But I think Whittaker's been too active, too fresh. He's got a bit too much movement. And obviously Liam had a hard fight last time with Lyndon Arthur, who's not a massively mobile fighter. So, whereas, he is in Ben Whittaker, and I think Liam's going to struggle to keep closing him down and keep up with his movement.
Okay. We saw Turki Al-Sheikh and Canelo have a bit of back and forward, and I think that the crux of it they couldn't negotiate the Canelo versus Crawford fight, and I think Turki feels that Canelo's been selective with the opponents that he's picking. With that whole risk-reward ratio, it's very low risk.
The thing is, I think that after watching Crawford's last fight, That's his limit, 11 stone. Anything above that is going to struggle because he's come up from
Super lightweight, was it?
super lightweight to lightweight.
Yeah, I think, in fact, he may have fought Ricky Burns at lightweight.
Yeah, it's well. Did he fight? He might have done. He might have been. He were lightweight or super yeah. He probably were lightweight. So he's come up. He's come up probably the maximum amount he's going to. And he didn't look fantastic in that last fight. That other kid's a good kid, and Crawford got through it. But the age and not being natural at that weight, going up, Canelo. That's not even an hard fight for Canelo. So Canelo's not being selective with the opponent. It's probably to do with the money because for me, Canelo, as good as Crawford is, Crawford's just going to be too big and strong for him.
You mean Canelo's going to be too big?
Sorry, Canelo's going to be too big and strong for him. Sorry.
Okay. Just a quick announcement for everyone that's going to be attending the Joshua Dubois fight at Wembley Stadium. On the day of the fight, there's going to be a special event at Box Park. The link for the tickets is in the description below for this video. Gold Star did a similar event on fight week during Fury versus Usyk. This is expected to be bigger and many more boxing legends are expected to attend. So see you all down there. Now back to the podcast and Dominic Ingle. Last thing I want to speak to you about is I think you were said in an interview about a month or so ago, just before we did the last one, that Tyson Fury basically is going to keep the same training team. It doesn't look like he's going to make any changes. And it's worth pointing out, prior to the Usyk loss, which was a split decision, you know, he had some good wins apart from the Ngannou fight. Is it a good decision, or what do you think?
Only the people inside the camp will know, because in a camp you've got to have the chemistry, you've got to have people you can get on with, and you know, until you find out what you need. But you've got to admit what you got wrong, and there'll be something in there that Tyson's probably realised, you know, is wrong, and he's going to change that. And maybe it's down to him, maybe it's down to his training team, maybe it's his dad's involvement or his family, but it's never no different. It's no different to probably what happened with Khan or Nazim Ahmed. It's like, for me, that fight, Tyson just wasn't fit enough, because for the rounds when he did get on the top side of Usyk, and there were about 2 or 3 rounds mid-fight where he had Usyk looking in trouble, it's just a case of sustaining that for the rest of the fight, and he couldn't do it. So that means he's just not fit enough. And
isn't that what Usyk does? Doesn't Usyk just mentally and physically drain fighters?
But
Tony Bellew's talked about this.
Sorry?
Your friend Tony Bellew talked about this quite a bit, how Usyk basically just drains you without doing anything.
Well, Bob Adjusef drained Tony Bellew. I don't particularly rate Tony Bellew anyway, so it's not. I don't really pay too much attention to what he says. It's like it's good that he can justify that he got hammered by Usyk. Fine, he went in for the money, because he were never in Usyk's league. It's as simple as that. So you're going to bum him up as much as you can, because the more you bum up Usyk, the better it makes Tony Bellew look for going in with him and surviving for like 7 or 8 rounds. So
he did well against him though, up until that moment.
It depends on what you call well, but he did well because he probably made a lot of money out of it. But it's different because Tony Bellew is not an heavyweight, is he? And if you put Tony Bellew in with Tyson Fury, he'd said the same thing. Tyson Fury would drain him. But Tyson Fury, in my opinion, I still say, even though he got beat, he shouldn't have got beat by Usyk. Should not have got beat by him. Because Tyson Fury at his best, and I don't think he were at his best, would beat Usyk. So for me, he just wasn't fit enough. He wasn't fit enough. If you're a lighter fighter like Usyk, then that's what you got to do. You got to try and gas the bigger guy and keep him under pressure and keep him working and keep him throwing shots when you're not actually doing anything. And that's what Usyk did. He pressured him and made Tyson do things that he shouldn't have been doing. Whereas Tyson should be nice and calm and kept it all under control, but he didn't. He kind of worked to what Usyk was doing instead of controlling the fight himself and making Usyk fight to the way he wanted him to fight. And it was always going to be a case of Usyk trying to impose himself on Tyson. But Tyson's got enough ability to keep that under control. He has, but he didn't do it because he didn't have it in the tank. He didn't have the reserve when he needed to step on the gas to subdue Usyk. He couldn't, and realistically all right, you've seen Steve Cunningham knock down Tyson Fury, but he was a clever fighter. But Tyson, realistically, You know, he shouldn't have been out on his feet against Usyk. Usyk shouldn't have got anywhere near him with the height and the reach that Tyson's got. He didn't utilise it properly to keep him long and away. That's what you got to do with them fights. You'd never been in a position to hit Tyson with your left hook.
Well, Usyk did say all week that I won't leave you alone. And when I interviewed him about, again, a few weeks ago, and he also sent the same message, he said to him, for the rematch, I'm telling you right now, I won't leave you alone.
Yeah, but
so he's basically saying his tactics
Yeah,
are
of
the
course.
same.
Why would he change? Why would he? That's the way you've got to beat it. You've got to keep on a big guy. You've got to swarm him. You've got to keep him working. You've got to tire him out.
What do you make of that, though? The confidence of the man to say that I'm going to do the exact same thing I did in the
Well, when has
first fight.
Usyk never fought? When has Usyk not fought that way?
Chisora. They fought Chisora in the back.
Yeah, but you see, that's another one. Innit? Was he playing, as they say, Americans? Was he playing possum in that fight to get the fights that he wanted? But the thing is, you've got to remember with Chisora's got that marauding, lolloping style where he keeps on you and he absorbs and he lolls and he's clever that way. He's very good at fighting up close. Tyson's not good at fighting up close, but Chisora is. And you know, he just kept walking into Usyk, and don't forget, was it Usyk's first fight at heavyweight?
It was.
So he's having to test his
Or maybe second.
I think it were, but he's having to test himself and get his range, and you don't really want to be looking too good, because imagine if he'd have actually smashed Chisora to death. People would have been negotiating order when they had to fight him for more money, thinking, phew, but he kind of slipped under the radar with that fight and made it look like it might be a bit too much for him stepping up to heavyweight, but obviously it weren't, were it?
If you're Tyson Fury and you've got Usyk telling you that I'm going to put in the rematch, I'm going to be on you from the first belt.
Yeah, so
what do you do?
I said, we get super fit. I'm going to make sure that you don't get past end of my jab. That's what you're going to do. It's not rocket science. Right, it's not rocket science. Be fitter than that man. Yeah, because Tyson's younger. Yeah, he's younger than Usyk. He's younger. I think Tyson's 35 and Usyk's 38, is he? Or 37?
Something like that.
Yeah. So he's younger. He's the younger man. Usyk lives a better life. You understand? Tyson doesn't live the life in between fights, and that's where the difference is made. So, you know, I think when Tyson boxed last time, he had that first camp, it got postponed, and then he came back into camp and did the second half, and there were about 4 or 5, 6 week gap. Guaranteed he weren't training every day in that 6 weeks. Usyk will have been. He'll have tailed his training down, but he'll still kept his routine. Tyson was off. I think he went to Saudi. Was, you know, like it was a break. Well, that was the ideal time to keep training and to build. But a lot of fighters can't keep the focus for that long period of time. They can't. And some fighters can. It's the ones who can. So Tyson's got to be fitter and, you know, develop tactics to keep Usyk long. And he's got the long range. He's got the height. He's got the range. He's got the reach. And you're seeing him when he's pushing, in the early rounds when he's pushing Usyk around, swiping him to one side. That's all he's got to do, just push him off and keep him long. He's actually got to do what Muhammad Ali used to do with people, keep them long, pop them with shots. You know, take little steps back, not let him close the distance down, not be moving faster than he needs to move. But when he does need to move, when he does need to put a burst in, because he were putting good combinations into Usyk, when he did do that, he's got to be able to pull them out of the bag whenever he wants and have it in the bag. But that's not got to be the main way to fight Usyk. The main way is just got to keep peppering with the jabs, the long shots, the backhands, keep him long, everything straight. When he comes in, bang, 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 push him off and back on the end of the jab. That's all he's got to do.
Let's see what happens. I'm sure there'll be loads of twists and turns in the next few weeks. I think next time around we'll for episode 15 we'll be in the BYD showroom, and hopefully we'll have the gloves in the Usyk gloves in a case, and hopefully we'll figure a way of giving them away. But like I said, if anyone wants them gloves, you need to hit the link in the comments and hit follow on that Instagram account. All the information will be on there shortly. And if you watch the podcast regularly, please hit subscribe. Help us to try and get to 1 million ASAP. We're not far off. Any last words, Dom?
No, we're in for another season, aren't we? So
Yep.
it's all getting exciting.
It is. Dominic, Ingle, thank you for your time.